Alright, so now the next part of this video, before I get to the paper, I'm going to go over a quick overview of nucleic acids and genomes, because this will serve as good background for the rest of the paper. So before I go further into the paper, let's first go over an overview of the mainstream explanations of nucleic acids, genomes, and cell theory in general. So nucleic or nucleic acids are chemical compounds essential to all known forms of life. They're composed of nucleotides, which are made up of a 5-carbon sugar, a phosphate group, and a nitrogenous base, also called nucleobase. The sugar plus phosphate make up the helical backbone of this chemical compound. The specific sequence of nucleobases, CGAU in RNA, and CGAT in DNA make up the, quote, genetic codes, basically sequences of these nucleobases, which is these nitrogenous bases. And base pairs, or BP, are two nucleobases bonded together and form the building blocks of the DNA double helix. And deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, is made up of two polynucleotides, or just multiple nucleotides combined together, that coil around each other to form a double helix. And DNA contains genetic instructions for the development, functioning, growth, and reproduction, put right here, of all known organisms and many, quote, viruses. And ribonucleic acid, or RNA, is typically a single-stranded polynucleotide and typically folded onto itself in nature. And then RNA plays roles in coding, decoding, regulation, and expression of, quote, genes. And many viruses, quote, viruses encode their genetic information using an RNA genome. And a genome is all the genetic information of an organism and consists of the nucleotide sequences. It consists of all the nucleotide sequences. These are still typically just labeled by the base pairs and so on, or just the bases right there. Going further, the human genome consists of 23 pairs of chromosomes, making 46 total. So there's pairs 23 times 2, 46, including 2 sex chromosomes, which determine the sex of the individual. So the X and Y chromosomes. So chromosomes are long DNA molecules that contain part or all of the genetic material in an organism, and cells split and duplicate the chromosomes during cell division, and so on. So here are the RNA, ribonucleic acid. Looks like this. There's a helix of the sugar phosphate backbone. And then the DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid. So again, very similar. This one, I believe deoxy is when oxygen is removed. It's deoxy. I believe that's what it is. Anyway, so then these are the nucleobases right here, and these are in the different colors right here. So this is adenine, is this right here, it's yellow. And these yellows connect here with this red, thymine, and so on. And if you take a look at the RNA and DNA, so RNA has the cytosine, the same thing. These line up, so there's the GG, so the guanine, adenine, and then the only difference is T-thymine for DNA, and then uracil or U for RNA. So instead of that, they'll have this one right here is this U is an orange, whereas this one has the red. Yeah, it's very, very fascinating. And then here's a quick overview schematic. This is a source typical human cell showing the nuclear genome inside a cell's nucleus, as well as the mitochondrial genome. This is inside the cell's mitochondria, which is the source of the cell's energy production. Yeah, so most of the genetic code is inside this, the nuclei. So here's a cell right here. As for example, here is 2 chromosomes, and they just they duplicate and split up, and then you get 2 cells like that in cell division. And that is one of the chromosome pairs. And these are a whole bunch of these. There's 23 in humans, and then there's the Y is inside. It's a YX. When there's a Y and an X, that's a man. When there's an XX, that is a woman. And then here is the mitochondria. So there is that's a cell. So inside the nucleus, all of these 23 chromosomes are inside this nucleus. Inside the nuclei right there, or nucleus. And then inside this mitochondria is these extra genetic codes in there. But again, most of it is all inside here. All these inside, and they all just divide. And going further, here is a part of the DNA sequence of a quote virus genome. And again, it's just all these different nucleobase pairs, right, or bases. Yeah, and this is all labeling it. So this is this would be if you look at the RNA or DNA, this is T, this is U. So this one's a T. So this is I would assume a DNA, yes, a DNA sequence of a DNA virus. So this one is a quote virus that has DNA as genetic code, I assume, and then yeah, as opposed to the RNA one, such as the COVID virus. So the human genome has this is 3 billion base pairs. So this is already base. 3,117,275,501 base pairs. This includes 16,569 base pairs for the human mitochondrial genome. And note that the quote, the COVID quote virus genome has 29,903 base pairs. So compare that 29,000, then you got 3 billion for humans. And going further, so cell theory has 3 tenets or beliefs. All cells, all living organisms are composed of 1 or more cells. The cell is the basic unit of structure and organization in organisms, and cells arise from pre-existing cells. So cell theory was universally accepted, but now as some biologists consider non-cellular entities such as quote viruses as living organisms, which means one tenet is disputed. So this right here, all living organisms are composed of 1 plus cell. So again, this is questioned because the theory of viruses is that they exist even without this cellular setup, because they're essentially just a little particle of genetic code contained within. And so a lot of people aren't sure what viruses are living or not living, and so on. Again, based on how the cell theory is presented. Going further, the central dogma of molecular biology states that genetic information flows between DNA and RNA to protein, but not from protein to RNA. So if you have DNA, right here, so DNA you could replicate to get DNA again. So you can go DNA to DNA. You can also go DNA to RNA, and then you can go from RNA to go back. This would use a reverse transcription enzyme and so on. Then you can go RNA to RNA, and these in blue is just a general. So this is generally what happens. And then the special type, you can go backwards in special forms, or RNA to RNA. And then this will just go generally just goes to a protein and build the entire cell, just the organism. And here's another more complete diagram right here. So you have this DNA. It can replicate using this DNA polymerase. And a polymerase is an enzyme that synthesizes long chains of polymers or nucleic acids. And enzymes are proteins that act as biological catalysts to accelerate chemical reactions. And these are polymers. So polymers are very large molecules composed of many repeating subunits, and proteins are a very important type of polymer. All right, so so going back right here. So if you go from RNA to DNA, you're going to need the reverse transcriptase. But if you go from DNA to RNA, you're going to need the RNA polymerase. All these are just different enzymes. And then you can also get RNA to RNA using this RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. You can go backwards right here for the different sense. And here I actually just added just the definition for sense RNA. So our sense RNA refers to complementary RNA sequences, and positive sense RNA can be directly translated to protein, as this image shows. If it's plus sense, it can go right here. But then if you replicate this, it's typically you would have another nucleotide sequence, and it will match up on this. But then it's going to be everything's going to be on the opposite side, and then you replicate it over here by matching up these sequences on top, these base pairs, and then you're going to have one like this. But this can't be translated directly to protein, so you're going to need to flip it over using this RNA-dependent RNA polymerase to get the other section over here, and then you could go to the protein. And yeah, again, it's just simplified overview of it. And then there's translation. This is RNA to protein via the ribosomes inside the cell. That is the place that supposedly produces the protein.